Welcome to the Montreal Forum with your host, Liam Maguire. This broadcast will be coming to you from left to right on your listening device.
Oh, it never gets old. Never gets old. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Montreal Forum. I am your host, Liam Maguire. And this is a Friday night, January 16th, shortly after 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2026. The year of the Montreal Canadiens' 25th Stanley Cup. Oh, the dream, isn't it? First of all, this show, me, myself, and I, is brought to you each and every week by my dear friend, Hosey and Brown Automotive, Rod Brown from Hosey and Brown, who are celebrating 50 years in business this year. And Grant may or may not get the logo up, and that's fine. I can say it, and that's all good, and we'll put it up at some point. But Hosey and Brown are there. We go. Thank you, buddy. Much appreciated, Grant, and much appreciated to Hosey and Brown. Glenn, good to see you as well, buddy. Thank you for anybody who's on here right now or who may join us in the next 30 or 40 minutes as I blab away talking all things Montreal Canadiens, a little bit NHL thrown in on this day in hockey, because sure wasn't a heck of a lot involving the Montreal Canadiens in the history of January 16th. A couple of hat tricks, some bad news with Gordy passing the Rocket. We'll get to that later. That's a little bit later on at the end of the show. I guess the big news today for the Montreal Canadiens really is the loan of Fowler and Beck back to Laval. This is, of course, good moves. It's great moves for Laval, who have basically been in first place in their division right now, holding a 4-point lead. It's obviously not an insurmountable lead by any means, but they've been pretty consistent, given that almost a third of their roster at different times has been up with the big club. So Owen Beck, interesting. The guy's going to be 22 here in about 3 weeks. Still very young man. Drafted in the second round, I believe, in 2022. And, the guy's never been a scorer. He's never really been a big scorer. Wasn't a big scorer in junior. Hasn't been a big scorer in Laval. But, there's some consistency to the game. There's no doubt the guy can shoot. Even the goalie scored. The only one that he has scored to date in his brief NHL career came in that 4-0 win against the Pittsburgh Penguins shortly before Christmas when Fowler was kicking out BBs, unlike last night against Buffalo. Not that all those goals of the 4 were his fault by any means, but touch on him in a second. Thank you, Wendy. Let me just see now. How's this? Yeah, a little Montreal Canadian mug action happening. Oh, it's very nice. Very nice. I like Beck. I like what I've seen. But, as soon as Anderson was ready, he went out and now he's gone back down. We all heard the news today. The Habs continue on this road trip, playing arch nemesis tomorrow, Ottawa. And always a tough game, especially in Ottawa's barn. And they're, coming off a couple of wins against bottom feeders here and feeling pretty good about themselves as they try to right their ship. And Montreal, I'll touch on something about the Habs and how we're viewing it game by game here this season, because I think a lot of you are like me. We're such passionate Habs fans, and you never want to see them lose. You understand there's got to be some losses, but we'll get to that in a second. Just go back to Beck and then Fowler just for a moment here. He's going to the right place. There's no doubt about it. Back to Laval this is a great move, and he's going to get thrown right back into the lineup. They've got Manitoba Friday, Saturday here. A couple of games, both in Laval. It's the way it works in the A. Everybody knows that. And so he's going to get his feet wet right away and in the A and right back where he's been mostly. And hopefully he'll rekindle the little bit of scoring that he was producing for them and continue to gain some confidence. And we'll see him again, if not down the road, then in training camps to come, given his age and where he was drafted and how he projects out. So we'll see. Good move. Fowler, that's a Ken, good evening. This is a different scenario because he is a heir apparent and He started out that way. I mean, he was kicking out BBs until the first shootout. Man, oh man, it's been a while since I've seen a goalie look that small in a shootout. And I know we're not talking about, Ben Bishop here or any of these guys that are 6'6", 6'7". Some of the goaltenders have come along in the last 6, 8, 10 years in the NHL that have been giants. He's as big or bigger than Yuri Saros. So he definitely has some size to play some good goal. And he has played some good goal for Montreal. And I do think he can and may very well be our goaltender for the future. So that's for the future, though. That's the thing. And 4-4-2 with a 902 save percentage and a 264 goals against at face value over 10 games is great numbers. It's just his last 4. He's lost 3 out of his last 4. He has not looked good in the shootouts, and he didn't have a particularly overwhelmingly strong game last night against the Sabres. And look, the better team won, and I'll touch on that game in a moment too. Notwithstanding the lead, we blew again, albeit it was only 1 goal on the road. But anyway, I have no problem with Fowler going down. I have no problem with Montreal trying to go back here to a 2-goalie system, which it was at the start of the year, and circumstances dictated, let's bring him up and give him a shot. And he got us a couple of wins, and 4 in total, and got us some points. And I think it was a great experiment. And he got his feet wet a little bit at the national level. He goes back down with Montreal still in a good playoff position, in a good spot in the division, a good spot in the conference. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10. And I think that his being sent down and Beck's being sent down is great. As for the guys skating today, and as I understand it, I think in regular jerseys, this is great. So, it means their return is potentially closer than not, as per depending what Marty and company want to do with the lineup. So we'll see how it progresses here. I'm hoping in the next game or 2 or 3, we'll see Caden Goalie return to the form that we've seen of this guy when he's firing on all 8 cylinders. He is not yet. I found it interesting last night. First of all, I found it interesting with the load management game, number 1. Number 2, he comes back last night. He played a full 2 minutes less than he did the last time he played, which was against Vancouver, and which is significantly almost 5 minutes under what his career average has been to date in his very young career. And with his injury issues and problems, what an outstanding move, I thought, really, to sit him out, a load management game. This is not something we're used to seeing in Montreal, and I thought that was a really good move. And yeah, it's unfortunate we blew that lead against the Caps in the third. We salvaged the point, and we weren't able to get that last night against Buffalo. And so I'll just finish on that note on Fowler and Beck. These are good moves. We're getting very close to being fully healthy. We're racing here with a ton of games like everybody is in the league to the Olympic break. And then we've got 4 games in February. So you can anticipate most teams, with the exception of those that are players that are nursing broken bones and in casts or have serious ligament or ACLs or MCLs, that we're going to have a lot of full lineups here for that incredible final push for everybody once Canada wins gold at the Olympics here in a few weeks. So it's going to be a heck of a push and a heck of a race. And right now we're still right in it. As you know, I do the show every week. Yeah, well, you may not know if you're joining for the first time, and if you are, welcome. Thank you. Appreciate you being on board. Habs Cast Nation, Grant's put together a real great lineup, and there's many, many great hosts throughout the week, and I hope you're taking an opportunity to catch some of them. This is my particular time to blab on here for 30 or 40 minutes, and I appreciate that too. I love talking Montreal Canadian hockey. The Habs are on pace for 101 points still. That would be a 10-point improvement. Every week, sound like a broken record, but they lose a game or they go a couple games though to win, but it's because they've scraped and clawed to get so many points, whether it be winning in OT or losing in OT or losing in shootouts, and you're still getting points mixed around W's here and there, and they're still fashioned right now their best season in quite some time, and on pace for, as I've been stating every week, a 5th year of improvement. So It bodes well, notwithstanding the Sabre game last night where we got beat by a better team. Touch on that in a second as we get full on here to last night's game. Just I like to do also Nick and Cole and Lane and where they're at, and they've just come down marginally as Montreal has maintained their 7-day sort of matching where they're projected out to be as we are now past the halfway mark of the season and racing towards 2/3 here and getting into the Olympic break. The Habs, as I said, on pace for 101 points. Nick's on pace for 89. He was at one point up as high as the mid-90s. He's come down a little bit. We all know that. The last 15 games, him and Cole haven't been. Their numbers have not been what we expect, what they would like, what we would like, what the Habs would like. And notwithstanding last night where they both scored big goals and had 2-point efforts. So that's great. But just as it points out to at this point in the season, they're on projection for 89 points and Cole for 38 goals, where so far to date this season, he has been on pace for over 40. So he has come down, again, notwithstanding the his 22nd that he scored last night, picking up the rebound. Great pass by Noah, great stretch pass. And you know, he hopefully will see him and Nick pick up their form here a little bit, especially with Nick going to the Olympics. It's going to be tough for him going over there. He may or may not be in every game, but still it's a big step for him to be put on that roster and put on that team. So I hope he plays well. I hope he gets in games. I hope he plays every game, but if he doesn't, whatever he's in, I hope he plays well and comes back and really can, as a captain and what he's done offensively for Montreal in his career since the trade, that he really can lead us to the promised land there and get us back in that postseason. Lane just down marginally from where he's been. The last 2-3 weeks, he bumped up to a point a game guy. He literally is right underneath it right now. He's 0.98. He's on pace for 80. Two assists last night, but not his greatest game. And, not Deno's greatest game. There were some guys that struggled last night at key moments, and notwithstanding the holding the stick call that should have been called on Buffalo as they were going for the empty net, we may or may not have tied that puppy up, but frustrating, but still. I think Lane's had a couple of bobbles here the last 3, 4, 5 games that I've seen. I'm sure you guys have seen the same. He's counted on for a lot. Obviously a great move to get him back on the power play. Did not really understand that. I mean, I know you want to get somebody back there on the point who's got a cannon, and Dobson's probably got our best shot, at least in terms of a shot from the point. Harper probably has a harder shot, but I mean, you're not going to have him on first unit power play. So Noah was probably the guy to go to there, and good to see Lane back in the position last night. And we finally got a 5-on-3 goal, and it came on just a beauty. There was a lot of encouraging things last night. We can't seem to mesh a lot of them together right now. The penalty kill had been so hot for 4 or 5 games, and then they score on their first 2 chances last night. And mind you, it's a Tage Thompson machine. There's just some guys, I'll tell you, I swear to God, it's like he phoned up John LeClaire and said, John, when you got traded to Philly and you lit Montreal up for 5 years, what'd you have for breakfast? What'd you have? What was your pregame meal? Because I swear to God, it's what he reminds me of. Even though, unlike John, who got traded from Montreal, Tage is a guy that, is coming over from the St. Louis organization in the O'Reilly deal and just as lights it up against the Habs. And he did it again last night. 5 points, hat trick with the empty netter. And man, oh man, he was so scary every friggin' time he was on there. So I'm going to jump off here for a second. Glenn, recall the old Boston Garden obstruction seats from getting tickets. I went in the 70s, and true to form, structural beam was right in my view. Yes, absolutely, Glenn. I was at the Boston Garden. I ran a couple tours down there. I sat in the obstructed section myself. And believe it or not, before the Montreal Forum was refurbished in 68, they had some obstruction in their seating as well. The 68 refurbishment took care of that, and that hasn't been the case. And now the Forum's gone, and the Bell Center has nothing obstructed. So, but yes, I do recall that in the Boston Garden. Sorry, small digression for a question that came in here online. I'll try and pick up what does come in as we go along here, everybody. But just back to last night. Again, frustrating. You could see the Sabres were going to tie it up. You could feel it. Neutral zone. Right now, if I could cure one thing on the Montreal Canadiens, or if there's one thing myself personally, I would be all over in the video sessions. It would be turnovers in the neutral zone. They are absolutely killing me. Don't worry about the dogs coming in behind me. It's my daughter's dog. Look at this guy. Look at his head on this guy. Holy lifting. Jeez, Moto. My goodness gracious. And there's another one rolling around here who may make an appearance or not, too. So, sorry. Apologies. We're on a little kennel here. Right, Wendy?
No, we're not.
Yeah. Anyways, we've got 2 cats and 2 dogs in the house, so it can get a little busy. But the neutral zone, the turnovers, they were as critical last night as those 2 power play goals against. You're going to give up power play goals against. Look, we scored 2 of our own. Which was great to see. Our power play just kicks back into gear after struggling, going, yes, exactly, Charles. Let the dogs out. 3 for 30 in the previous 30 attempts. We scored 3 times. And then last night we're 2 for 3, including finally a 5-on-3 goal. And it has been such a level of frustration for that. The penalty killing goes like this. Now the penalty killing gets lit up last night, and the power play lights it up, and we didn't put it together. Well, the point I wanted to make about losing last night, and man, we got our hands full tomorrow night against Ottawa. It's always such a tough game, but we're living and dying on these losses. It seems like more than before. Maybe it's because we've been kind of firmly locked in that top 3 spot for so long now, and in a playoff spot for so long now, that when you lose a game, and because the Atlantic is insane and the parity in the league, especially in the East, is insane, that we're so fearful of, oh God, no, not another 5-game losing streak, because you'll just go right out the back door. And we'll be back to where we were last year, just scraping and scratching and clawing, trying to get in. So hoping we can avoid that. And I'm hoping that the way Monty has played since he's come back from his 2-game stint in Laval, 3 out of 4, his save percentage, I believe, is at .921, and he has looked good. He has looked like the guy who carried the mail for us last year, notwithstanding Dobie, who's had these 2 phenomenal starts both years to his sojourn here in Montreal before he falls off. So, I'm hoping Monty plays tomorrow night, and I'm hoping we get the best out of him that we've seen here recently. Look, 3 goalies is not a situation anybody ever wants to go with. It wasn't a good thing for Montreal a couple years ago, albeit under much worse circumstances in terms of where they were, and it seemed everything that could have been magnified by going with 3 was. This was different because we were rotating the 3 and picking up points and W's. Until we weren't. And I think we're, by all accounts, all of us would be in agreement here that Fowler needs to go back down and probably work on some things given his size, some shootout stuff. And, he's got to protect the top of that net, getting beat up high again there. And look, lots of goalies. How many times have we seen Cole do it? Not lately, but how many goals has he scored by finding that dot right over the shoulder? It's just a puck and a half width. It's unbelievable. Jack Eichel does it all the time. There's so many guys that are doing it now. Having said that, you hate as a goaltender to see the puck go in there. And in a lot of cases, if they were old school goalies, it wouldn't, because they just stand up. But that's not the way it is today. Guys go down, and Fowler, being a little bit smaller than the average, looks like he's a little bit susceptible there. So he'll go down. That's some things. They've got a real strong team down there. They've had a strong season down there. He's obviously got tons of familiarity down there. It's literally a hop, skip, and a jump from where he's been playing in Laval to the Bell Center. So I love that. I just love that Montreal has that setup. And I fully anticipate we're going to see a lot of Jacob Fowler in the future. That was a great first stint. He got us some big points, and these moves were great. Buffalo, this is the real deal, man. They have won 15 out of 17. and they're full measure for it. They had the only time they really, in my opinion, last night that they looked like they were playing back-to-back was the first 10 minutes of the second period. They were kind of listless, and then they just picked up their mojo again. And, you just knew we couldn't give up one in the third. Oh, just a screw up at the blue line there. Deno went down as a off, odd number at man advantage for Buffalo, going down low, and little quick pass, quick shot beats Fowler, and we're down 4-3. And you knew we were going to be in tough, and we never really got a good look on the with the goalie out, and we've had a lot of success with that this year, more than we've had in many, many years. So I'm encouraged by where the season has gone so far. Every game is so freaking big. We're in a stretch here of tough ones, and we got to scratch and claw. So tomorrow night against the Ottawa Senators, who beat us and really made us look pedestrian there a few weeks ago. In fact, it was kind of interesting. Ottawa won that game against us, and really it looked like man against boys. And then they kind of spiraled shortly after that. They really went down and hit the skids, whereas we kind of bounced back from that and went on a pretty good run in 10-game segments since we've played that the last Ottawa game. And we had a good run against them last year, which is unusual because the 3 previous seasons, they pretty much owned us. They definitely dominated us last game. And even though Brady's not 100%, at least in terms of what he can do fistically anyway, he's going to be a force. He always plays well against Montreal. And yeah, I'm sure we all saw the news. You guys saw the news that Linus is back in on the ice. Obviously won't be playing tomorrow night. Maryland, I'm assuming, is going to get the start. I don't think they'll put the Optimus Rhyme in net. And Maryland's coming off the back-to-back wins, albeit against Vancouver and the Rangers. Still, it's NHL teams who at any time can step up and get a W. So I would expect we'll see Maryland. This guy is not Craig Anderson. He's definitely no Ken Dryden. So let's get after him. If the other thing I could say, and I know I heard Marty's response to it, that he doesn't want to get in the guys' kitchens about getting shots on net. I'm not saying we got to turn into Carolina Hurricanes who cross the blue line and think of one thing and one thing only. How quickly can I get a puck on the net? That's how Carolina operates. And look, it works for them. It works for them in the regular season. They've got a nice, pretty team. They'll never win anything in the playoffs. But in the regular season, they're so consistently good. And one of the reasons is they throw more rubber at the net than you can count. And Montreal, of course, languishes in that department. So sick and tired of getting the 12 or 13 mark in the first period. We got 2 shots on net. Like, it makes it pretty friggin' tough to get a couple goal lead in the first period and really make a team you're playing chase the game when you just don't get any freaking shots. But the neutral zone turnovers and the turnovers at the blue line are things that really, these are coachable. And if I was running the video sessions, that's what I'd be working on. Look, pucks down low, power play, you've gone back to a little bit of the old configuration. You're relying on certain guys' talents to come through and be able to score. Cole and Nick have been cold. Maybe last night's the start of them getting the ball rolling again. They're too talented not to, but we really need them. Thankfully, the second line, or whatever you want to call it, the kid line, I see a few of you have referenced that in here, calling it that. And, thanks, Grant. No score yet in Laval, and Beck and Fowler are playing. That's great. I love that. Thank you, Grant, for posting that. And that's great there. I'll just I missed maybe a couple of others, but I know some of you guys are talking among yourselves there about some deals Montreal may make. But at any rate, it's, and we've been scoring first, and usually that sets the table for Montreal, and they kind of control their own destiny in a lot of cases. But at the end of the day, like I said, when these losses now, especially when you don't get anything, you don't get a point, and we've had 3 of them in the last 10 games. That's it. Like, we're 6-3-1. It's a great record. If you run with that in the regular season, you're making the playoffs all day. So you don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. You don't want to get too harsh when there's a bad outing or some guys struggle, because we are the youngest team in the league. We are on pace for our 5th year of point improvement. We have got so much young, exciting talent, but we all want to get back in the dance. And this Atlantic division is going to be an absolute nightmare here down the stretch. And if Montreal can stay and build a little bit of a buffer, at least ahead of the peloton, if somebody referenced that a couple of shows, I don't know if it was on my show or one of the other Habcast shows that I saw, but what a great nickname for it. The group that's chasing in our rearview mirror, that Buffalo picked a little bit of a big step up last night. These games are all 4-pointers. Like, Ottawa's 10 points back. They got 2 games in hand. They win tomorrow, they're 8 back with 2 games in hand. They got a lot of teams between us and them. But this is the way we think, right? And Ottawa always gives us a hard time, and they win more often than not against us. So, and I'm going to miss the game. I'm speaking tomorrow night in Ottawa. Tomorrow is this day in hockey, as probably most of you are aware. And in Ottawa, Ontario, which is deep in the heart of the Ottawa Valley. You're basically, if you go to Ottawa, you make a left-hand turn to North Bay, you make a right-hand turn, you're going to end up over in Temiskaming. You're crossing the Ottawa River in about 30, 40 minutes on a very small dirt rural road to get over there and over to Temiskaming. I've made the drive many, many times, and I'll be in Ottawa tomorrow night, and we'll be going on the ice with the alumni, including Sergio Momesso and Brian Skrugland. Speaking of former Montreal Canadiens, among other names that you guys would know, Bernie Nichols, the Sutter brothers, and a bunch of guys. And so I'm going to miss the first at least period and a half of Montreal, Ottawa. So, which, it is what it is. Got to MC, got to do my gig, got to earn a living. But I'll be checking as much as I can, and I'm hoping we get off to a good start. I don't think it'll be, it's a different animal when Brady can do things that are Brady-like. He can't really right now with his hand still wrapped, but I don't expect we'll see McDermott dressed, so I don't think there'll be any lightning rod moments with the sheriff and anybody on Ottawa necessarily, unless there's something that appears basically out of nowhere type thing. But other than that, I'm just hoping for a good start and our specialty teams hang in, and I hope Monty plays, and I hope he plays like he's been playing since he's come up from Laval. You give us that, and I like Montreal's chances to come away with 2 points. So we'll see how it goes. What else here? What are you guys yakking about? Do I think a trade's coming? Kent Hughes has made 44 transactions since he's took over. Now, that includes everything. So he has shown that he's not afraid to pull the trigger. I do. I don't know about Grant. He's much more in tune with this than I am. That's kind of been his bailiwick in his life, really. But as an ardent fan, and I do feel that, let's put it this way. I think Kent is looking and he's trying to see what he can do. And I think I saw somebody reference it here, our bottom 6. It was nice. Anderson came back. He scored a nice shorty. But really, our bottom 6 are kind of where offense goes to die. Like, when they're on the ice, it's basically, here's 38 seconds that we just hope we don't get scored on. And there's just not a lot being generated there in offense. Yes, everybody's chipped in with a goal or two. Galley scored a couple games ago himself, but he's had a tough season, let's be honest. I mean, he really, really is on his last legs here. And the rest of the guys that have been filling out that roster with the return, I know Newhook is still weeks away, but to get a Doc back, and I find it interesting with Laine. I don't know what they're going to do there. He didn't play well against Washington in the playoffs. Once teams started marking him toward the end of last season, of course, he got hurt against the Caps, and he was out of the lineup so quick at the start of this year and didn't look particularly sharp, even on the few power play chances that he did have. So I'm not quite sure what he would mean if he was to be brought back into the lineup. Kirby Doc, I think there's much more expectation for, a need, a hope that he can come back in the lineup, stay healthy, and maybe finally give us something in terms of depth scoring, because it would allow. And look, you can't break up that line right now. And I don't know what you do with Doc. I mean, Oh, you can't really play him on that right side, can you? And take Texier out. I mean, Texier had those games that pretty much solidified his contract. By the way, that's a great signing. It's a couple years at that money. He's made a commitment. The team's made a commitment. He's showing that he has a certain skill set and ability. I don't know how that puck didn't go in last night, but you see it all the time, right? It's just such craziness sometimes how pucks hit the post. I don't know if anybody saw the end of the Oilers-Islanders last night, but Leon Draisaitl basically missed a wide open net to tie it. And I half think he missed it because Connor McDavid's pass was so fast, so on point that even Leon Draisaitl, a perennial 50-goal scorer, he didn't catch up to it quite in time, and he just pushed it a bit, and it hit the far post. He had the whole net. Now, Sorokin played lights out. There's no doubt about it. He was first star. But if you give Leon that chance again, 19 out of 20 times, he's scoring there. So sometimes pucks just don't go in. And Texier's last night, I mean, even Murdoch there thought it was in. Texier thought it was in. Of course, the replay showed that it wasn't. So I hope he bangs another one in here pretty quick and can continue some sort of good positive feeling, because I think if you don't score or pick up any points on that line, say 2-3 games, God forbid, getting into a fourth game, playing with Cole and Nick, there are two guys who are supposed to be our real offensive leaders, you probably would start choking the stick a little bit, So it will be interesting to see. I don't know the status in terms of when these guys are going to be able to rejoin the lineup, but actually, Grant and I talked about it on a post game. Actually, I think it was after the Caps game, I believe, and probably I don't know. Like Sammy Blais last night hit everything that moved. No, he's credited with 4 hits. I thought he had like 14. I hope he's another guy. I mean, he picked up a couple points early, and he's been bouncing. We all know the story with the waivers with him and the Leafs, but damn, man, like he was in Laval. He played 9 games. He had 9 points. Like the guy's got a little bit of hands. And it's tough, right? You're getting 12 minutes. It's tough. But he was effective last night. I thought he was effective last night. I don't want him in a lineup, but we're in a point where we've got too many of those bottom 6 guys. And so to your question, and I think Kent would probably look and see. You don't want to make a deal for the sake of making a deal, but at the same time, you've got bodies and you've got to make decisions. And sometimes, you try and find a deal. It's not like they need draft picks, but we all know at the end of the day, and here we're talking about Montreal scoring, and they're the 4th or 5th highest scoring team in the league right now this year so far, nearly 50 games in. So scoring really hasn't been the issue. Their issue has been keeping it out, and their goaltending, which went south there for a bunch of games. It's the only reason that we're not really just those 4 or 5 points up, maybe if not with Tampa, who really are only those few points ahead of us, but they've gone on an 11-0 run to do it. But the only reason we're not challenging for first in the Atlantic has been really, in my opinion, the goaltending that went south in those few games. And look, that happened to a number of other teams, man. Believe me, Ottawa feels the same way. And Toronto for a brief stint earlier. Speaking of tough losses, oh my God. The big Marner and Austin showdown, 7 seconds to go. They tie it. And then Eichel in OT. Tell you what, it was a heck of a game, though. And there's been some great hockey this season. And the parity's at an all-time high. And the Habs are right in the middle of it. So it's all good stuff. All good stuff. I'll just take a quick look here before I do this day and wrap her up. Glenn, it's great we're in contention. 2-3 years away from being serious contenders. Yeah, I don't know about 3. I think we could be a contender before that, personally, to be honest with you. But you're right. We should not be contending this year, barring a miracle, and probably not next year. These are years where what you'd like to see is making the playoffs, of course, and some deeper runs. This is what I'd really like to see. I've stated all along that my number one goal was an increase on 91 points. And I would hope that would mean that we get in the playoffs again. But I was willing to accept the fact that maybe we get bumped out, right at the end, or we come down right to the end and we miss what maybe you miss what 96 points or unheard of, but maybe 97 because of the parity in the friggin' league and especially in the Atlantic. But I just want to see improvement, preferably in the postseason, preferably a second win in the postseason. Those would all be wins for me this year. Next year, man, I'd be looking for something else. There's no doubt about it, because the core that's going to lead this team now entering years 4 and 5 and 6 are in years where you should be able to make some significant impact if you have the other right pieces around you. So we'll see. That's a discussion over a few pints at another time. Let's see. We'll see what Kent does. Okay. Oh, so Kakinen is playing. Okay. Kakinen got the start. So, okay, that makes sense. Wasn't sure about that, Grant, but that's okay. Bringing up Fowler to start the playoffs as they did with Dryden and Patrick Roy. Well, Roy was already in the lineup. Didn't really bring him in for that 85-86 playoff run. Dryden, of course, different story. He came up, as we all know, very well documented story. I don't see it. I mean, unless we make the playoffs and our goaltending struggling. I mean, I just don't see it. Excuse me. We'll see what they do. But Fowler needs work. Waybell there. I don't think there's any doubt about it. It was an easy decision to send him down. Look, he's lost 3 out of his last 4 starts. His save percentage has dropped. His goals against has gone up. And I think the first real red flag was the shootouts, and he just looks so small. And then, other than some great saves, he hasn't had the consistency that we saw in those first few games when he came up and was getting us those doubles. So I think back to Laval is perfect for him. So, I'm hoping Monty plays tomorrow night. Let's see. Ottawa has some grit. Well, I don't know if they have grit per se. There's Moto again. I should get Maverick in here for a quick shot. Yeah, throw him up here if you can. Will he come up? Come here. Come on. Come on in. Come on the webcast. There we go. Look at this guy.
He's on a competition.
Yes, he's in a competition.
Vote for him.
Vote for him. Yeah. Anyway, Tuck scored. Habs are up. Sens are they're a bit of an enigma. They really are. They play when they're playing well. They've got amazing structure. They've got amazing structure, and teams that have good structure and can cycle, that's our kryptonite. You're saying grit, Ben. Maybe it's a facet of it, and there's no doubt physically, Buffalo owned us last night. Physically, they really took it to us. They were the better team. I mean, they've won 15 out of 17. They're clearly not doing it with smoke and mirrors anymore. They're legit, and we were right there with them, tied in the third period. Yeah, they were on a back-to-back, but anyway, is what it is. We're a good club too. And we can score. And if the power play is going to get going here, Goalie's play's only going to improve. If we got Monty back, if we can do some things. Coaching. Marty, secondary coaching. Letowski. A little bit off. I mean, it's hard to argue with what they've done so far. Montreal's power play percentage, even despite going 3 for 30, they didn't drop too far. They're still in that top 10 spot. Penalty killing, losing Armia was just so hurtful. And it's great that Anderson has chipped in a couple of shorties, but overall on the PK. And look, Danault, this isn't the Danault that Montreal had before LA. He still has moments, but you look at last night, and I mean, he was 45% in the dot. He's 55% this year, so that's down quite a bit. His line was on the ice for a couple goals. They struggled. He struggled. It's going to happen. You're not going to play 82 superb games. But when those things happen, it's death by 1,000 cuts. You're probably going to get the loss. So myself, I don't have a problem with the coaching right now. I got no problem with Marty, and I got no problem who's on the bench. We're 6-3-1 last 10. We're third in the Atlantic. It's never been more competitive. We have these little blips, and I think people overreact and want to make snap decisions. I don't want to see any changes with the coaching right now. His name's not Rex, but yeah, they do eat everything here. Luke Tuck assist to Flojo. That's great. Love that. Yeah, third line last night, Ben. Yeah, tough one. 1-0 Laval. Thank you. Yeah, just rip through the last few of these, and then Manitoba tie it up. Yeah. Yeah, Galley playing five. Yeah, Brendan Gallagher, you want to talk about load management. I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world if they sat Galley for a game. I really don't. If you work our injured guys back in here, and in doing that, it's going to be Villano and Blay, the most likely two that are going to come out. I understand his veteran presence on the team, but if you go to him and explain, I mean, this is business, and just explain the situation. He hustles like as much as he ever did. He gets the pucks. He still gets down low. He not quite the agitator in front of the net he once was. And it's just, the poor bugger just has no hands anymore. It's an instantaneous grenade the second it hits the stick. And it's tough to watch, but he got a lot out of his career. And he played some fantastic hockey for us. And he, at the end of the day, is going to go down as a heart and soul Montreal Canadian of all time. But I wouldn't mind if maybe they exercised a little load management on Galley. Yeah, you said last night, Fowler of the AHL. Well, they're Fort George. You nailed it, buddy. Texier has good moves. Yeah, the guy's got skill. There's no doubt about it. He's got skill. I like the signing. It's a couple years. It's like when we signed Laine, or when we picked up his contract. I mean, he'll find another place next year to play. Not going to be with us, but if they see something enough in practice that they think that he can help us, they put him in the lineup, and he can give us a bit of a shot on the power play and get us back up to 25 to 27% because he's scoring BBs from that one side. Right on. So we'll see. Yeah, Washington did grind us into the dust last year. I would have Arbor fight Willie very first game if we played them again. Cap's got to make it first. They haven't exactly been scintillating themselves this year. Of course, we played them with no Willie and no Chikrin, and two pretty big pieces out. So they're still a good club, and they did grind us last year. I'd like to think we could be better this year, but there's no doubt about it. The Montreal Canadiens overall, team-wise, need to get more physical and tougher, more grittier. There's no doubt about it. They have some guys who can do it. Anderson, Doc, Blay, if he's in the lineup. Yeah, you got the Sheriff on the back end. You got Stroobs if he's in. Goalie. Problem is, he starts thinking he's Scott Stevens again. Well, he's not, and then he gets hurt. But there's guys there. But by and large, if you look at the teams that have won the Cup in the last 10 years, you go to their third and fourth lines, we don't have that. And that's really probably the next step for Montreal. Of course, consistent goaltending, but that's really the next step for the Habs. Gone on way too long here. Sorry, folks. I'll just see if Valo shooting 11-5. That's good. Yeah, Galley on power play too. And I know Grant's tweet was pretty good there about a week ago on Twitter. We go, for God's sake, how can he be on power play too? Like, no, I love the guy. I love him. But he can't be on any power play. There's just no way. Anyways, Jesus. It's just frustrating. Don't get it. Yeah, I think he needs to sit a game or two. But hopefully Doc's good to go here. Yeah, Yeah, I saw Drury's letter literally 20 minutes before we started the show here. And I'm not sure if it was a fake account or if it was actually the guy who comments on the Habs in the second intermissions with the glasses there, Arpon. He said, "Hey, that's plagiarism or something." I guess it seems very, very similar to what the Rangers did when Gorton was there, and they sent that letter to their fan base and season ticket holders and everything else. I saw the letter. I only skimmed through it. I didn't read it word for word, but just reading it went, "Holy geez, man! Just saw this a couple of years ago." So, do I think the Habs require toughness up front? Yeah, absolutely, Charles. I think they do. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we've got all this talent coming, and you got Reinbacher, and you got Angstrom on the D, and you got this other Russian who's lighting it up, and you got Pickford out west, another D in the drafts, and we know what Demidov's bringing. He's gonna probably, if he doesn't win the Calder, he's definitely gonna finish runner-up. There's so much young talent on Montreal, but all of those are really nice pieces. But do we want to be Carolina Hurricanes, or do you want to be maybe the Colorado Avalanche? I think we can be, notwithstanding we don't have a McKinnon or Makar, but we've got a junior Makar in Hudson, and we can score by committee to make up for a McKinnon and kind of steal a page from Vegas and from St. Louis and some of those teams who won Stanley Cups without having a point a game guy on their roster. Check it out. So, it's possible to still do it, but at the same time, you've got to have some grit in the lineup to win in the playoffs. If anything, the state of Florida has shown us in the last 6 years is you need that. You definitely need some of that to go with the immense amount of talent that Montreal is cobbling together. Some stuff on Galley. Fowler too small. Well, we're going to see him again. I'm not writing him off, that's for sure. Habs need to get bigger. They're very young, but yes, they've got guys with size. Sometimes you don't need the biggest guys to play with size. We had a guy lead our team in scoring a few years ago who has been a real key part of the Leafs resurgence here in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Max Domi, not a big guy. He's probably got his dad's heart. He has nowhere near his dad's toughness or fighting ability, but the guy will go where angels fear to tread. And when he does have a little bit of skill, and we saw that in Montreal. He had 72 points. But I'm not saying a Max Domi, but you need some guys who are willing to go where angels fear to tread in the playoffs. So yeah, no excuse for the Sabres back-to-back, Fort George. You are right, my friend. They just absolutely said, here we are, come and get us. And they were full measure for that win last night in the sense that they got the 2 points, and yet we were right there. That's what's frustrating. A turnover at our blue line ends up in the back of our net, and there was 2 or 3 mistakes made that allowed that to happen. And, power play goals are power play goals. But at the end of the day, we were right there. We had 2 leads on them, and I just felt that it was a game we should have and could have at least got a point out of. That's frustrating. I know that's not going to happen over 82, but that's what you're up against when they give us a little bit of success and we want more. So they're 6-3-1 in the last 10, and that's not good enough for some people. They want coaching changes and they want certain guys demoted forever, or you want massive trades and lineup changes. But it's anyway. Let's see here. Yeah, not sure. French Connection when I was young. Yeah. Well, I don't know if they're that. I mean, that French Connection in the 70s, I went to the final, in particular in 75. That was the first time I ever went to the Montreal Forum, was Game 3 of that series. Saturday night, May 1st, 75. And Montreal got back in the series, winning that game 7-0. Guy Lafleur got his first playoff hat trick, and he scored his 3rd goal on an end-to-end rush on a delayed penalty. And he took it coast to coast for his 3rd goal. I said, I will never hear a building like this again in my life. I was 15 years old. 4 years later, I was in the building when he scored to tie it up against Boston. It was whatever 75 was, it was that on steroids. because that was insane. That night, the railing actually shook in my hands. That was Thursday night, May 10th, 79, when he tied it against Boston on the Too Many Men on the Ice call. Trying to catch up to these and get out of here for you guys. No, we can't put soft guys in. Villano's had some good shifts for sure, but it's just we're at the point, which goes back to the question about a trade but bodies in, bodies out. It's the way a lot of these deals have to be made. Is you gotta money in, money out. Man, it's going to be interesting. I trust the Hugo connection here, but it's going to be very interesting. Bolduc has really fallen off. Galley should not be on the power play. Hage is coming. I like the kid. What we saw in the World Juniors is it him?
Yes.
Oh, you're right, guys. Whoever said that the dogs were eating the cushions, you were right. Right in behind me as I'm doing the show. My God. 1-1 Laval after 1. Thank you for that update. That's Grant. Thank you. The old forum was second to none, baby. Those were the days. I was there 344 times in 21 years. Laval up 1-1. Attaboy, Grant. That's great. And Philip Forsberg on the Habs. Interesting. I always liked him as a player. That would be an interesting deal. I would need to decide. I need to think about a little bit more. Anyways, that's it. Let's get out of here. This day in hockey, as I said, with the Habs at the start of the show, very little. In fact, other than a couple of hat tricks, very little. Gordie Howe passed Rocket Richard for career points on this day, January 16th, 1960. Rocket was still in the league, but Gordie was picking up significantly more points. And the Rockets still ended up with, I believe, another 29 points in the season, but Gordie had gone by him. And as we all know, continued playing for quite a while. But Sheldon, thank you. Tommy, thank you. Thanks, guys, for watching, chiming in, any of the comments. Very much appreciated. The only other thing I want to say is and because this guy grew up in Stittsville, back in the day, and I'll finish on this note, January 16th, 1934, this does not involve the Montreal Canadiens, but it's such an incredible hockey historic moment. Back in the day when overtime was in the NHL, yes, that's a cat now, their overtime was not sudden death in the regular season. You played it out. In the 20s, it was a 20-minute period. Then they reduced it to 10 minutes, and it stayed that way till they took overtime out because of the Second World War in 1942. And then it came back as we knew it in 1983, and then they've augmented it to 4-on-4 and 3-on-3 and all the rest, now the shootouts since 05. Back in the day, if they played the full period, a full overtime period, well, then 10 minutes. And Ken Doherty, who was from Stittsville, that's a little hamlet. It was a farming hamlet. Now it's burgeoning Barhaven 2.0, if you're familiar with the southwest part of the city of Ottawa. And Ken Doherty was from Stittsville, and he scored 3 goals in overtime. He's the only guy ever to do it. Has the Toronto Maple Leafs beat the Ottawa Senators 7-4, and he got 3 goals in overtime on this date in 1934. I think it's one of the greatest hockey history stats. It's not a Habs stat, but it's as good a one as any because it's got a nice local connection. It's got another local connection as well because the guy who assisted all 3 was Heck Kilray, who's an uncle to Brian Kilray, who's a legend in junior hockey circles, not just in Ottawa, but across Canada. I went way too long, but if you stayed with me, thank you very much. And Glenn, Rocket Richard, look, at the end of the day, you're going to let him eat everything here? Or what are you doing? At the end of the day, if you need a goal scored in hockey history and you could tap one man on the shoulder, you're tapping Rocket Richard. There's nobody else that you would tap other than him in his prime. I'll finish on that note. Thanks for hanging with me. Thanks to Grant. Let's go tomorrow night, Habs, and get a big one here. Get back on track. 6-3-1 last 10. Let's keep it going. Beat the Sens. Go Habs, go. I'm Liam Maguire. There's Grant. Grant, thanks, buddy.
Whoops. I took over there for a sec.
Yeah, I'll sign off and let you handle any last comments here? If
Sure. Liam, great show as always. And hey, paddle up the Ottawa all the way to Mattawa tomorrow there. You better get up bright and early.
That's how I'm going to start my gig, I think, and do the first few verses there of Big Joe Muffera.
Sounds good. Great show as always, Liam. Thank you very much.
All right, pal. Thank you, Grant. We'll talk to you soon, buddy. Okay, guys. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Liam Maguire, folks, the one and only. I absolutely love his podcast. He's the best. Love Liam, and great takes tonight and some great comments. I'm going to get to a bunch here. Keep them coming in. Hey, Friday night, no Habs hockey. Fort George contributed $10. Liam thanks you, and I thank you. We really appreciate the contribution. That Chris Drury, how did he ever earn the presidency? He comes in and he has no GM experience. They hire him and he gets the presidency and the GM. Like, he shouldn't be the GM, let alone the president too. And as Arpin said, it was basically Nolan just, I think, photocopied the last one that he got Gorton to put out when he was the GM, and just sent it out again, and then say, you sign it at the bottom here, Chris, and everything's good. But looks like fire sale in New York. It just goes to show that Nolan's not a great owner. We know that already, but that they never should have got rid of Gorton in the first place. That was an overreaction to them being manhandled physically a bit in the playoffs that year. And the only thing with that is you wonder, right, is Gorton making the same miscalculation with the Montreal Canadiens by having too much skill and not enough mix of size and grit in the lineup to make some noise when the games really count, and that's playoff time. I looked at a player today. I think the Canadiens need to address the lack of size, and last night it was pretty apparent. Like a guy like Tage Thompson just kind of, Wilson did it in the playoffs last year. Last night was a playoff type game, right? Because very important. They're all like playoff games right now. So you get a glimpse of what it's going to be like in the playoffs. And, big guy like Wilson, Montreal didn't really have an answer for last year. Thompson now, he's done it before against the Canadiens, as Liam pointed out, but they really didn't have an answer for him. And I think, personally, they need to center. Deneau, I have not been impressed. I said it the first couple of games, he's going to have to play better. I mean, we were happy that he won a couple of key faceoffs, but he hasn't been winning key faceoffs. Kapanen has been taking more faceoffs than him the last few games, if you add them up. He doesn't have a physical edge. Evans comes back. He doesn't have a physical edge. He's undersized. I think that's the spot, because they do have, personally, I wouldn't mind Blais, at least Blais hits. And as Liam pointed out, he's got some, his hands aren't that bad. They're better than Galley's right now. Like, if it came down to a choice of which guy should be in the lineup, I hate to have to say it, but right now, I prefer having Sammy Blais in the lineup to Galley. And it's just going to have to be, the conversation's going to have to be had with Galley. It's going to have to put on the big boy boots there, go to him and say, look, we need you to rest the odd game, start it that way, right? And explain to him, especially when there's 3 games in 4 nights or back to backs or whatever the case may be, that, you know, there's guys out of the lineup that he has to sit every now and then and rest. But I looked at a player today. I'm going to do a special show tomorrow, probably around noon. It'll be a live Habs cast. I hope you can join me. I'll show a video of this guy, and I think he'd be a good target for the Habs at the trade deadline, because I really do believe they need a none of the centers bring a size physicality combo, and I think you need at least one of those. You know, like you can't go. You look at Florida. How have they won in the last few years? Well, they've had Bennett and Barkov down the middle. Bennett's not the biggest guy, but he's, you know, all grit, and Barkov's just a load. But they, you know, even Lundell's a big guy with it's a load, and fourth line center as well. So, you know, Colorado, well, McKinnon's a beast, a physical beast, right? He wins with power in addition to his skill, but they've, you know, he's a big reason why they've been so successful. You know, Rupe Hintz is a big body that brings energy, size, physicality, and talent, you know, for Dallas. On and on. Like, you go through teams, and invariably they all have a big physical center of some description. And I think the Canadiens have to address that. It was painfully obvious last night that that's something that, you know, there are some wingers with size, but center, no. I think Jake Evans is going to have to be, well, I mean, or Deneau, one of the two are going to have to be the odd man out coming up here. They're kind of redundant, really, and I just don't think that the Canadiens are going to do any damage with Deneau and Evans as your third and fourth line centers once the really important games hit. You can weigh in on that. Getting back to Panarin, like that's the big name, right, with the Rangers. Obviously, the ideal guy for the Canadiens to pick up would be Will Cooley, but the Rangers won't be trading Will Cooley. That's, you know, they'll be trading veterans. They're going to be retooling, rebuilding, and Will Cooley's just a young guy and a big part of their future. So that won't be one of the guys that goes. It'll be vets like Panarin, you know, in particular, maybe JT Miller. I'm not the biggest JT Miller fan, and I think he would probably cost a fair bit. But Panarin, obviously, you know, skill wise, he would fit that spot on the first line, but I don't. He is just invisible in his own zone. Every time I watch, you know, I did a clip of Trocheck and his lackadaisical defense, but just about every goal against that he was on, if Panarin was on, he just no interest whatsoever in keeping the puck out of his own net. And I don't, you know, I would pass on Panarin. I don't think he helps you win 4 playoff rounds ever. He's just not he doesn't care enough, I don't think, about winning, about team. It's about scoring, and that's basically all he's concerned about. And even that has started to dissipate some. But Fowler getting sent down, I saw a couple of comments. Jay Teal mentioned, well, he has the best stats. Yeah, and but it's what you're doing now, and uh, Monty looks like Monty has been the best goalie the last 2 weeks. Fowler has lost 3 of his last 4. He let in 3 on the short side last game, and that's something that needs to be corrected. And go back. I think a key thing is, and the reason why everyone was worried about him when he came up was, well, you don't want to ruin him, right? This is a really confident goalie. Now, if he's not, and I think what I've noticed with him the last couple of games, a little bit of that swag is kind of gone. Like he's kind of, this is the, okay, I'm not, this is almost a little overwhelming at times. So don't want him to lose that. Want him to go back to Laval, play lots of games, get that confidence back, keep working on short side shots and all this other stuff. Breakaways, people have brought it up before that he, looks small in the net sometimes on breakaways. Like I agree with Liam, like he looks small. Like that one goal where the guy came across and it looked like he had 3/4 of the net to shoot at, right? It's just, there's things to work on. But Monty clearly is the guy, and what they're thinking here is they want to go back to what it was like last year and give Monty 75% of the starts or so. And in that scenario, that's not ideal for Fowler at his age. This key development point in his career, have him playing 75% of the games in Laval, keep developing. If Monty hits the skids again, you can always bring back Fowler, right? Like, I'm not saying this is for the rest of the year, but it makes sense. Dobie will be, playing 25% of the games and until further notice, and back to where we were at last year. Clearly, from Dobie's, controversial comments the other day, I don't think he was happy with the 3 goalie rotation. So he'll be happier with that, I think. And even 25% of the games is probably more than what he's been getting anyways. So maybe 30% of the games, but similar to what we saw last year, right? With Monty the starter, and Dobie playing 25 to 35% of the time, unless, he kind of gets it, because he's been sort of on and off lately. But if he starts playing really well again, keeps winning games, then maybe he plays 40 to 50% of the time. But, you adjust it as it goes along here. But it made sense to, a really condensed part of the schedule is done here now, even though there's still going to be lots of games. And because of that, Dobie will get a few in here before the Olympic break. But that really hectic end of December and early January is sort of over, and it's not quite as crazy now. So send Fowler back, give him more time. Owen Beck, I've been saying it for a week. He's got to go back to Laval because he's kind of been sitting out, right? But I hope you can join me tomorrow. I've got a player that I have identified that I think will help the Canadiens down the stretch here and into the playoffs if they can perhaps pick him up. Let's get to some comments here. Ben, I don't recall you being on here before, but you've been very prolific and had some great comments today. Thanks. If you have been commenting before, sorry, I may not have noticed or whatever, but thank you for becoming a a contributor here. It's hey, the more the merrier. Everyone's welcome. I think moving Fowler back to the AHL is great. He's so competitive. He played just well enough to know he belongs, but not well enough to where he wants to be. That the fire that feeds Fowler's development. Yeah, that's well put. Charles is in Glasgow, Scotland. He was telling us, and he said that the other day, but he said Glasgow SC, and I thought, oh, I guess there's a Glasgow in South Carolina, but apparently not. He's actually on the Bonnie coast. That's Nova Scotia, I guess. I have lived here for 33 years. I was fortunate. My dad had season tickets during the 70s. And the first game I ever attended was Bobby Orr's first in Montreal. Wow. Okay. So you're an old timer too, eh, Charles? Like a few of us here. That's pretty cool. So that would have been 66, I guess. Wow, that's something else. And Bobby Orr, as much as I despised him when I was a kid because he was so freaking good, I think was the best player ever. If his knees would not have been ruined, it always I always say it begrudgingly, but I think Bobby Orr, as great as Gretzky and Lemieux were, Orr was the best ever. I think could have played if his knees had been good. He could have played till he was 50 and still been a big scorer. I think, just like Gordy. Yeah, Liam's had the puppies out today. That was pretty cool. I'll try to keep second period just started up. Laval still tied 1-1. Hopefully they can get rolling here. They haven't been scoring a pile of goals lately. Hopefully Becker back in the lineup after a month playing at the NHL level, playing and practicing at the NHL level. Hopefully he, that gives him a little extra boost. I'd like to see Owen, if he can, be close to a point per game score the rest of the way at the AHL level. It would do him well, to see another offensive level from him. And it might happen here. I think we saw glimpses of it, right? He just wasn't getting enough opportunity, I didn't think, in Montreal to showcase that really hot shot he's got there. Do people like Panarin? Do they think that he would? The thing would be, right, that you'd have to salary his salary's a lot, and I just don't see him. I think the additions that the Canadiens have to make here at this point are going to have to be size, physicality. There's enough skill in the lineup, enough goals. I think you got to augment that with some pugnaciousness. Wayne kind of, reiterating what I say. We don't need skill. We need sandpaper. Exactly. All right, let's get to Charles saying, yeah, 86, the Habs won the cup with 10 rookies, so you never know. I'm not writing them off. I don't think, I think the key part to key thing that was said by Kent Hughes in that last press conference was we're ahead of schedule, which told me, and also picking up Deneau, when he wanted to keep very competitive in the race. Just these things are telling me that they're gonna because I see the East as being wide open. It's just so close. Any team in the East that's makes the playoffs, I think, can win it this year. I really do. Montreal will have to transform their lineup a bit, but there's no reason why they can't. They've got lots of assets. They've got players that other teams wouldn't mind having. Like for instance, I keep mentioning Jake Evans, right? His salary, he's it's a good price. There's teams that would take and have and consider Jake Evans to have some value, right? A team that has size but could use has size and skill but could use another defensive setter. They're you know there is a need there and value. So um, and then all of the prospects and picks and all of the other possible assets that could move the other way. Like I see Engstrom being a trade chip for the Canadiens here. Like he's a good defenseman, but I just again fit wise for the Canadiens, they've got too many guys ahead of them, and when they do add a defenseman or two in the future here coming up, there's going to be more grit and size, I think, that than what Engstrom offers. So, like the top three guys that play the big minutes in Matheson, Dobson, and Hudson aren't big physical defensemen. So I think ideally you want the other three to bring that element to balance out the six. Rex is eating the sofa. Yeah, no anorexia for him, eh? Fortunately, the strategy isn't adjusted during the game, which is disappointing. Yeah, they don't. Marty's not one to put the lines in a blender. Is one of the things that I liked about Michel Therrien was that when things weren't going well, he had no issue whatsoever with mixing up the lines, and it worked sometimes. Therrien had a lot of faults, but he did take teams that weren't really that talented. When you go back and look at the roster, he took some teams to, they won. I think they won the friggin' the conference once or twice and won the division, and it always kind of surprised me. But one of the reasons why was because he wasn't over patient, and I don't think that's a bad thing when it comes to mix the lines up. If things aren't going well, don't just keep it the same all game. Ben was saying, like, all teams need to do is clog shooting lanes, keep us to the periphery, and forecheck the heck out of our D. Well, yeah, there are times when that does seem to be the Sheldon, thank you. Demi 20th in points per 60, first on the Habs. Hey, he's always been a points per 60. Last year in the friggin' KHL, he was like top 3 in the league, I think. He's a machine. Sorry I'm late, guys. Yes, Mark. Apology accepted. When you send a couple of dollars when you along with your apology, accept it every time. And Charles, our Scotlander, is the newest member. I think you're probably our first member residing in Scotland there, Charles. Thank you, and welcome aboard as the newest member of Habscast. YouTube member. Thank you. Fort George. I said last night, Fowler to the AHL. Well, I think what Monty looks to have ironed out some of the kinks there. And, you know, the Canadiens, and probably with considering that Monty was top 3 in saves above expected last year, which is, I think, looked at as the go-to stat now when trying to evaluate how goaltenders are playing. Top 3 in the NHL. And I think he was top 5 the year before. So it wasn't just a 1-year wonder type thing. I don't think Dobie, certainly not yet, is ready to be that. I don't think Fowler is ready to be that. But Monty, hey, 920 save percentage, Liam was saying, since he came back. Well, if you can get anywhere between 900 and 920, if his saves above expected are anywhere close to what it was last year, the Canadiens are in good. Are that's good, and hopefully Monty is back, and ideally you don't want Fowler playing, 1 out of every 4 games at whatever level he's playing at. So it makes sense. Send him back. I think Marciano is a good goalie coach. He'll help him, right? And they'll keep rock and rolling here. Tommy Habs Myers. We saw what Washington did last year. They grinded us into dust, and we have no answer for their grit and bulk. We have to get more size in the lineup. Well, tune in to my podcast tomorrow around noon if you're free, and I'll have some video on a guy that I think, if he's available, would be a perfect addition to the bottom 6. Take Galley off power play wave 2 and put Arbor in front of the net. Let Hudson draw in players and make space. I did mention that last night that maybe you give Arbor. Well, I said that exactly. Put Arbor in front of the net for a bit. A Cappy in the bumper. Yeah. Well, I think what's going to happen here, and I'm not positive, but I suspect that Doc will be playing tomorrow night. And a good time to bring him in against Ottawa, a team with some size and stuff. And he'll be replacing Galley on the second power play. I sure hope so, But get Doc in there, and there's some size, and better hands, that's for sure. As Wayner says, Galley should be in the press box. Well, he did have a goal the other night, so yeah. But he'll be in, I think, down the stretch here. They're gonna, I hope that they do the gutsy thing. I know it's going to be hard. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in that position to have to do it, but sometimes, these guys are paid millions of dollars, right? They're paid millions of dollars to make tough decisions sometimes, and you got to put on your big boy pants and do what's best for the team, and not, be afraid of the backlash on it. It'll be tough. It's kind of like almost, when things aren't working in a relationship, where you have to say, I got to move on. I mean, it's tough, right? But sometimes you gotta do the tough thing because it's the right thing. Yeah, sure. I mean, if Galley's not traded, And I still think that might be that's a better option than buying him out. Yeah, keep him in the organization for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, wearing shoes instead of skates. Yeah, well, soon. um, the Sabres didn't make any excuse because of the back-to-back. Yeah, but it was, as Liam pointed out, it was tied in the third period, right? Montreal's like 6-4 in their back-to-back, so it's not like Montreal can't win games in the back-to-back too. So Montreal ran into a team that's 15-2 in their last 17 and didn't quite have it. I mean, if Fowler didn't let 3 in the short side, they win the game. There's that too. So if Texier doesn't, that one hit the post and, it looked like it was going in, but didn't. Sure, when I saw it, I thought it hit the netting. I mean, I could see why, the Habs celebrated there, but obviously it didn't quite cross the line. Buffalo did look like they were down and out and caught fire. What a turnaround. Yeah. And to those, I think I saw one, get Tage Thompson. Well, that's dream world, right? No, Buffalo's not trading Tage Thompson. They've drafted like 10 forwards under 5'11" in the past 10 drafts. And, they already got rid of Cousins, who was 6'2", and, they got to keep a balance there too. They're big guys to go. Tuck's going to be going, it looks like. He's not re-signing, and that's the other big guy. So, yeah. Tage Thompson is not going anywhere. The old French connection. Yeah. Yeah. René Robert, Gilbert Perrault, and Rick Martin. I always got a kick out of it, French from Quebec, Rick Martin. Richard Martin. No, Rick Martin is his name. Oh, okay. Kind of like Mike Bossy. Went from Michel Bossy to Mike Bossy when he joined the NHL. We tend to anglicize things a little bit in the NHL. You can't see Blais coming out. Well, the fact that he wasn't sent down within the 30 days, it does indicate that perhaps he's not going to be sent down. And he does, if you do the stats on hits per 60 on the Canadiens, Blais got to be ahead by 5 hits per 60 on every other player, even Jack-Eye probably. So, I think, Charles is saying that Vlaino will be waived. Maybe. I also, but there's going to be some trades, and I think ideally Valeno's a good 13-14. You go with 7 defensemen, 2 extra forwards, and trade like Evans and have a Valeno as your 13-14 guy, and when there's injuries he can come in because he is versatile. Like, he can play on your third line wing. He can play fourth line wing. He can play fourth line center. He can take faceoffs. He can kill penalties. And he's been quite good. The Canadiens' penalty kills since he came in, taking Evans' place, went from 27 to the top 20. So he's been actually killing penalties better than what Evans was. So, and he also hits. He's probably second on the among forwards in hits per 60. So there, he's bringing a physical edge. He's a little bigger than Evans. I personally would trade Evans, and it also gets rid of a bit more salary, right? Frees him up that way. Get a big center to replace Evans, and have Veleno as the, the poor man Evans that's there to play the Evans type role if and when there are injuries, and he can slide in from the press box and fill that role at $1 million. What's he making, 1.4 million or something like that? That just to me makes sense. And Blais is the other guy that can kind of come in and out of the lineup. You're playing a bigger team, have Blais in there, right, for that physical presence. And then at playoff time, maybe he has a regular role. We'll see. But that's my viewpoint on it. I wouldn't mind hearing what folks think of that. Maybe Bull Duke is somebody that's kind of on the bubble too. Although in recent games he's hitting a little more. What wouldn't mind seeing is a line with Bolduc and Anderson, or Blais and Anderson, and a big center that I'm going to suggest tomorrow in my video that I hope you can watch around noon tomorrow. I'll do a Habs cast, and then set up things for the big game against Ottawa. Goalie off the power play. Charles, our newest member from Scotland. It is now, 1:30 in the morning in Scotland, Charles? Listen to what he says, folks. Come on, everyone, hit the likes. Liam and Grant are immense. Well, Liam's immense. Thank you. Thank you very much. Glenn, you had to roll. Okay, my friend. The escalators lit up like hockey sticks, stood out on St. Catharines and Atwater. Those were the days. Absolutely. 2 minutes for roughing. Oh, that's not a bad one. Even the kitty cat made an appearance there. Great podcast, Liam. So thanks so much. I'll be joining tomorrow as Kent tonight as 1 a.m. here, and my bank card is in the bedroom and my wife is sleeping. Okay. Well, you did end up joining after all. Okay. I hope you didn't wake up the wife there, Charles. Well, I guess you're probably gone at this point, but bye, Charles. Thank you. Thank you, New York Rangers. What'd they do now? Oh, letting us have Gorton. Yeah. And Bobrov. 1-1 still, Laval and Manitoba. Not getting a lot of scoring in that one. Where is Suzuki in his physical presence? Yeah. Well, like he's... Okay, I don't quite understand that. Are you saying how physical is he, or why isn't he more physical? I don't quite know how to interpret that one. Maybe you can expand a little bit on it. I mean, Susie's, he's hard to knock down, and he's certainly brave, and you're not going to intimidate him, but he's not a, crunching guys isn't, an element that he brings. Like, he's not going to punish players on the forecheck, I don't think, too often. Panarin isn't needed. No. Steer clear. there's no fit there for Montreal. They got plenty of, they've got 20-year-old Panarin, but with heart, right, in Demi. Mark agreed on Panarin. Grant, not a good fit for us. No, don't need it. Don't need another bread man. Need a milkman, guy that can milk the defense. Goalie's been great, hands down. However, like any business, no one individual is bigger than the team as a whole. Yeah. Sheldon's okay with Fowler going down. We're agreed on that. Yeah. I thought it might be Dovish because of those stupid comments that he made, but you know what? He's we always talk about we want players to be honest, and then when they are, we criticize them. But Dobie's a different cat, and he says what's on his mind. And in this case, what was on his mind was kind of maybe he overspoke, but to Marty's credit, he's not taking it personally necessarily, and saying, oh well, we got to get rid of this guy. Shot fire over the bow, and the Canadiens took the high road on it by not necessarily punishing him. I know they probably had a chat, and cleared the air, but good for them for not overreacting to it. And it makes sense. Fowler hasn't, we've seen a couple of leaks there, and you don't want him to lose any of that confidence. So send the kid down. Hand Monty the reins, the starter reins for now, and Dobie's that makes sense to be the guy that is the backup then. Oh, Chris is a little late. Have a beer on me, Cappy Grant. Thank you. Not pinting tonight, folks. Maybe tomorrow night, the Sens game. I was producing, so when I'm producing, no drinking. Did I start a trend? $2 late fees? Yeah, actually $2.79, 79 cents more. Mark. Thank you, guys. It's very appreciated, the ongoing support that we're getting on here. Having looks like last month broke the $1,600 mark, and this month we're already up to 1,300 or something, and it's only halfway through the month. So onward and upward. Thank you so much for your support. It's getting this thing launched off the ground while I still seek sponsorships. By the way, anyone that might want to sponsor, I studied it, and what I'm comfortable with getting for my show is way less than what I read is the normal price that you seek for. Like, I'm getting over 100,000 views a month already, which is crazy. But it in part it's because I do so many of these, but it's that's a lot of views, and I'm not seeking near what the going rate is. I'm happy with a very, very fair price. So if anyone's listening that has a business that thinks it could help them and they want a unique spot to advertise, get in touch with me. Let me know, and we'll talk business. But in the meantime, you guys are supporting me enough that I can survive here. Thank you. We're going to get through the winter here. Still 1-1, Laval. Given Habs require toughness up front, do you think the injured players returning will provide that? Well, I think Doc will. I don't think Laine will. Newhook, he provides energy. He's a thick kid, like he's strong, and he's gotten more physical, and I think that's becoming a part of his game, but not an ideal. He's not a big physical forward in the NHL. Buffalo looked like they were down and out when they caught fire. What a turnaround. Buffalo, eh? Man. I'm with what people have been saying here. Like, wow. I want Buffalo to make the playoffs. Like, I don't know. I kind of cheer for the Bills. I don't mind Buffalo. They've never won a cup, right? They came down close. They got robbed by Hull in the crease that time, and the Bills have never won. Like, that city, they get 10 feet of snow that they got to shovel every winter. For the city of Buffalo, I want to see some sporting success. They get just like Winnipeg. They're kind of like the Winnipeg of the U.S., where they get, we play in Buffalo, right? I remember, like, Jim Kelly, if you've ever seen any, like, when he first, Buffalo drafted me, and he went to the USFL and didn't want anything to do with it. Now, he lives in Buffalo and loves it and embraced the city, right? Good blue-collar, honest, hardworking, upstate New Yorkers. And anyway, and a border town, so they've got some Canadian influence, which makes them even better people. So, yeah, I'm pushing. What's it been? 15 years that they've made the playoffs. So, Montreal first, obviously, make the playoffs in the Atlantic. But my second choice, if I hope for a team to make the playoffs, is Buffalo. Oh, just got another $10. Okay, well, I'll stay on here for a little while, folks. We're starting to get a good gathering here. But I have to do a little something. I hate to have to do this, but it's a must. Be right back. Oh, that feels better. Thank you for your patience, folks. I hope I didn't lose too many of you here. Oh, a couple people left. I just saw a yellow. Oh, Charles. Appreciate your content, Grant. People like you and your fans keep me in the loop where I live. I hope you didn't wake her up. Thank you. Thank you again. I really appreciate Charles. Hey, newest member, And thanks for the contributions. Hey. Oh, that's $10. Oh, that's £10 too. Oh my goodness. Okay. So that's not $10. That's like, I forget what it is, 18 or something. Charles, thank you so much. And don't stay up too late, but hey, wow, that's just 1:30 in the morning, 1:45 in the morning, and tuning in from Scotland. I love it. And I guess you might, with my last name being McCagg, we've traced my ancestry to a certain degree, and I think we were originally in Ireland, but I guess we were more lovers and fighters, and we lost a feud and ended up moving to Scotland and the McCaggs. And then, eventually a lot of them ended up in Canada. I think is the Canada and Pennsylvania. There aren't many McCaggs. It's a pretty small clan. Like, I don't think we fared too well in the feuds, the family feuds. But anyway, we're still here, and thank you very much for being the latest European member of our clan. Thank you. Kenny Pedro agreed on Fowler playing. Laval is his to play a lot. You know what? I like when the live chatters agree with me. How much does it cost in pounds to be a member? Just out of curiosity, Charles. Please retire my galley. Yeah. Palat? No, I don't think. Why are the Devils trying to get rid of him? He doesn't he doesn't really give us what we need, I don't think, Wayne. No. Yeah, well, no doubt Orr was the best. The greatest I have seen. Yeah, or yeah, hate to have to say it, but the moves today were the right ones, and we only have room for one off of Deneau, Evans, and Veleno. Beck needs to play. Yeah. Agreed, Chris. I don't want Deneau and Evans centering the bottom two lines. Not seeing enough from Deneau. He's not the player that he was with Montreal before. And no. And even Mark came around on originally it was Evans got to stay, but changed his mind. He's a little more, Mark, you're a little more willing to alter your opinion on something than, say, my buddy Pierre, who sticks to his guns, but I love anyways. And I haven't seen Pierre yet tonight. The only players I have interest on the Rangers are ones that will not be available. Exactly. Goalie won't be available. Mark, as always, is nice and welcomes people to the membership. And Charles says, thank you very much. Sheldon, as always, is hospitable. I would only entertain Trocheck. Yeah, no, Trocheck, I had a look at his, I did a video on him last week, Chris. No, Skating is defense a little lacking too. I'm not no, and he's not big either. He's like 5'11". Engstrom is a good trade chip, good promising D, but just no room. I think he's the main trade chip here. You know, teams got to look at him at the NHL level. He didn't look out of place. Go to a team that's got big physical guys that could use another puck moving mobile defenseman. He's a good fit for some teams, just not Montreal anytime soon. Montreal's got a bunch of young defensemen. You know, Lane, Arbor, and Goalie are all quite young, and he's not ahead of any of them at this point. And you could argue, you know, maybe he's ahead of Struble, but that's still, you know, still puts him fourth. And that's not even including Matheson, who signed for 5 years and isn't going anywhere. So, you know, not happening this year, but maybe a few years for the Cup. Yeah, I'm with Liam. Like, it's funny, he said no hope in hell of them beating Tampa this year. But when Glenn said, well, 2 or 3 years, he said, I don't know about 3. And I'm with Liam all the way. That I don't think it's 3 years. This young group, we see the progression every year, the point progression. Like, I think they could hit 100 points this year. Given that the core is all still not at their prime, there's no reason why that point improvement can't keep going on. They're 105 to 110 point team next year. That makes you a legitimate NHL contender. And I'll keep saying it, if they make the right moves here at the trade deadline, if when Doc comes back, we see the player that was emerging, that I think is still potentially a very good piece on the Canadiens and brings size and physicality. If what we see from Monty the last 3 games continues here, Goalie gets back up to speed as he comes along, gets a few games under his belt. Newhook comes back, helps out, adds that extra layer of speed, the fastest guy on the team. Laine, who knows, if Laine comes, he'll probably get a look, and if he frickin', he scores goals on the power play, if he gets there was something missing on his shot at the end of last year and the start of this year. It might have had something to do with the surgery he had, right? If there's something not quite right with your abs and you can't get that friggin' oomph, well, that's the difference between putting them in and not quite putting them in. If he comes back and just lights it up on the power play again, like all of a sudden that second power play, you put Doc and Laine in there, replacing Galley and whoever. It's quite an upgrade, right? So I don't know. We'll see. Gaelic for good health. There we go. Scotty Powell. Love your talk, Grant. Thank you, Scotty. You always have nice comments. Folks, being nice, doesn't cost you anything. I mean, I'm not always nice, but I certainly like nice comments. And for the vast majority of people on here are nice. It's great. I love it. Oh, this is Bilal. Haven't seen you on here for a bit. Thanks for rejoining us and joining the chat again. Huge game tomorrow. Let's get a win. Absolutely. Oh, Chris, you always like to go with the Bergevin's a piece of shit. Terrian's a piece of shit. Da da da. Everyone's got negative stories they can tell, and nothing to do. Don't need to go down that. I don't want to turn this into a soap opera forum. You know what I mean? There are so many ways trades could go. I'm just interested in what our front office comes up with and who leaves. Yeah, for sure. That's a good point, Ken. Oh, Charles lived in Montreal for 33 years, Scotland for 33 or whatever it was. Pretty much an even Steven, eh? Right on. Oh, Daniel with his his Auburn sticker, super sticker. $1.49. Thank you very much, Daniel. That's, every time you're consistent with that, and I love it. It's great. People don't have to feel that they have to, if they do want to contribute a little something, $1.49. Hey, if everybody on here contributed $1.49, I'd be whistling Dixies. So, really appreciate it, Daniel, that you're a steady contributor. Cheers to you. Oh, Sheldon bringing out the Welsh now. Yeah, Mark. That's why the chat's always so much fun. Cultured folks on here. Yeah, cultured folks and me hosting. I wouldn't call myself cultured, but Beck was 45 for 75 on draws, the best on the Habs, with a 58% win rate. Thanks for that, Johnny. You're weighing in before. Usually you wait till I'm just about to go, and then you weigh in. Nice to see you throwing in a couple of comments before the end of the podcast. Sure is a great group of people. Absolutely. What's best for the team? Yes, and that is Galley out, right, Wayner? They need to hire you as the henchman. Go in there, get out. You're out. You're a lot bigger than Galley. You could pull it off, Wayne. When I moved here, I liaised with Swansea and couldn't understand a word. Galley's got millions and a new wife. He won't suffer taking a long break. Yeah, Emil's always got to throw in a little. I'm not going to. I've talked about it before, Emil. There's reasons why there might be a couple of teams that want Gallagher because he's still regarded as the, you'd be surprised. Playoff time, teams will add guys that, hey, and it's not like he's got 5 years left on his deal or something. If you trade Galley and you get something back, like there's a lot of creative trades out there. You'd be surprised some of the players that have moved in the past. There are a lot of reasons why a team would want Brendan Gallagher in their dressing room and perhaps playing on their team at playoff time in like the 12th forward spot. Montreal, because of the fact that they need some size in the bottom six, is the main reason why Gallagher probably should be out of the lineup. But, we've seen guys too that change of scenery, playing with different players, the mix is right, that have a little revival too. No, it's unlikely that many teams would want Brendan Gallagher, but obviously Montreal wouldn't be asking for 2 first-round picks back or something like that. They maybe have to add a pick or something. You need to drink several brains essays to understand Welsh, I hear. Galley needs 5-on-5 time only, 9 to 10 minutes load management. Yeah, probably. Rick Martin was a great goal scorer. Well, yeah. Anytime you hit 50 goals in the NHL, Sheldon, you are indeed a dandy goal scorer. I got a feeling that Hugo will make a surprise trade, a player we didn't expect. Yep. Tune in tomorrow around noon. I'll have one for you. The time my boss was from Newcastle, so I nodded my head in agreement as he sounded like Jimmy Nail. No. Okay, you guys are having the back and forth. Great country, however, it rains a lot. Yeah. Vancouver. What would you give up for Benair or any Ranger players? Hey, Frankie V85. I would give up a jar of peanut butter for the bread man, and then trade him somewhere else. I did grant that she's a sound sleeper. Well, I'm glad you found the credit card. Thank you very much again. Yeah, that's a good point, Sheldon, about what, expect him to play more physical than he is. No. I don't want him to change. Would you go get Stamkos? He still has game. Well, I wanted Stamkos a month ago, Frank, before he got hot, but now the price, right? Now Doc's back. Texier's playing all right. No, what they need is a big physical piece, I believe, is the missing piece at this point. What about Lafreniere? No. Nope. Pass. They don't need a vicious underachiever that never worked hard for it. Johnny Golden. Best podcast there is. Ivan Cornway, yeah. Well, this is Liam's podcast, so but what the hell? Hosey and Brown. That's Liam's sponsor. Thank you very much. Ivan Cornway, Logs End. Hey, if their flooring is good enough for Ivan Cornway, Montreal Canadiens Hall of Famer, 10 Stanley Cups, it's good enough for you. Go to logsend.com. Check out their website. Totally unique, wide plank, reclaimed wide plank flooring. Read their story. It's fantastic. And if you're interested in a quote, make sure to tell them that Grant sent you, and they'll fix you up. Nobody should work for free, Grant. Only sorry I can't give more. Are you kidding? You give more than enough, Mark. Thank you. Mark was like contributed like $30 last night, and he's apologizing for not being able to contribute more. Thank you. I've noticed that Reinbacher is not afraid of physical play. No. And Reinbacher, I hope he gets a look down the stretch here. By the way, it's second intermission, Laval. Still tied 1-1. Oh, Mboko is playing finals. I'm gonna wrap this up. Geez, it's already 2 hours. I'm gonna wrap this up soon. I got some tennis to watch with the better half there. Do you think Killorn will fit with the Habs for a few seasons? Alex Killorn? Yeah. I've lost track of Alex Killorn. Where is he now? Sorry, I should probably know, but again, any trade, people bring up trade proposals, and it's got to be a team that's looking to get rid of a player, right? So, Anaheim, I don't know. I think New Hook is greedy in a way. Yeah, he brings, with his speed and motor, he's learned to forecheck and hit a little harder. Like, he's a strong, stocky guy, so he can help wear down defense. Sheldon says, I'm going about it the right way by flooding the zone. The more podcasts, the more new people will hop on board. Well, we seem to be getting new people all the time, right? Love how Grant always stays on for us. We're pretty darn lucky. Forgot to feed the dog. Yeah, there you go. I went to the loo, yes. Skip to my loo, my darlings. Buffalo's for real, but they will regress a little as their pace is not sustainable. Oh, no. Better not be. Is there hockey in Scotland or all curlers? Oh, there's a bit of hockey, right? Golf. I'm looking forward to the Habs making the playoffs, and then see Goalie win back all his detractors. Well, I'm telling you, there's teams that wouldn't mind having Gallagher, believe it or not, in the playoffs. Things slow down. The hooking and clutching and grabbing, that's right in Galley's wheelhouse. He was good the last time the Canadiens made it to the finals. Colorado with 4 losses, yeah, but 2 of them recently. Yeah. Gretzky's brother played, that's right. Was it Keith or the younger one? Overall this year, how would I rate Marty's performance? Well, it's funny, yeah, you get the different viewpoints on that. Some people say, oh, you got to fire him after a loss, eh? He needs to go. I don't. I like there's progression every year, right? And he's got the youngest team in the league. I don't think you can ask for much more. Charles, you're going to bed at 2 a.m., really? So friggin' early. All right, then. You love the knowledge and genuine. Thank you. Thank you, Charles. Hey, maybe we'll meet someday. If I ever head to Scotland, I'll look you up. Thanks for joining the community, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of you. Number one podcast, Joe Rogan is jealous. Yes. He doesn't get buck from 49 from Daniel Lorette, does he? Hey, Daniel? Yeah. Hey, I'm not a big Tyrion guy. We'll just put it at that. Oh yeah, Michigan, Minnesota. I might have to check out a bit of that too. You know, I was surprised that Mooney was killing penalties so much at the World Juniors. Obviously, his defensive game has come since the start of the year when I wasn't so sure. All right, guys. I actually have to eat something here. Probably shouldn't leave it any later than this, eh? Seeing that it's after 9 o'clock. And my voice is starting to go. Yada, yada, yada. So a couple of more minutes here, guys. And I'll just wait for all the late donations to flood in. And I'll pack it in here. No, Galley is the ultimate competitor. I'm positive he's not ready to retire. H just scored a beauty. There we go. Oh, Pierre. Do you think Rhino would have helped with Tage Thompson last night? Yeah. And I think a bigger centerman would have helped too. Never underestimate Galley's chirping value on the ice. All right. Yeah, I gotta go eat something, let the dog out, and watch a tennis match with my significant other. So go Victoria Mboko, go. She's in the final here. It's kind of cool. If you're a tennis fan, I always support the Canadian tennis players. Want them all to win. Okay, folks. Maybe tomorrow, if you're around at noon, check out the scouting video that I did on this player, who I think would be a nice addition for the Canadiens. I think they got to make a couple moves, and hey, maybe this guy will be available. I think he would be a nice addition. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. If I don't see you at noon tomorrow, I'll be doing a post game after the Ottawa game. Hope you can join me then. Bye for now. Have a great night.